All right, it's that time. What I need you to do is get out there and pre-order that book, read it, and then join the Discord, because the thing is absolutely legit and I'm just dying to talk to somebody about it. Alright, so I managed to weasel my way into an advanced review copy. I just straight up sent an email to the main contact us at Tor after seeing Andy Smith and Adam Whitehead both got their copies, and I was just dying, and they sent me a Kindle version, and I read it, and it's absolutely legit. So this is my kind of non-spoilery pom-pom cheering session for The God Is Not Willing. It is so dang good. I almost want to describe it as like what would happen if you had like Steven Erikson, Ian Cameron, Esselmont, crazy written love child, because it kind of feels like in some ways it has the pacing of an Ice book, but still with all the themes and all the kind of deep goodness that you go to an Erikson book for. So this is just going to be my list of 12 things that I think you're going to love about The God Is Not Willing. And number one, although they're in no particular order, this one I think does warrant the number one spot, which is just more Marines. This is one of the, favorite aspects, and I did a killer quick gen collab talking about Marines and the kind of Band of Brothers aspects of the books, and he absolutely knocks that out of the park here in The God Is Not Willing. The other thing I think you're going to love this time around is the swear words, right? And there's already a whole epic Wikipedia page about Hood's balls and Hood's bony prang and all of that stuff. That gets expanded in a super fun way that I don't want to spoil you on, but you're going to love it. Number three is the references, right? Because, and I don't want to say, and I wrote this in the Discord, but I don't think that it's necessarily fan service that this stuff is in there. But let's just say I think there's a lot of stuff that you're really going to go for and be hyped on. References to stuff that's happened in the Book of the Fallen, in the Ice books, in Kharkanas or Path to Ascendancy, stuff that we know that happened that now has kind of worked its way into history, myth, legend, and so you get all those juicy references that you're like, oh my god! Number four, and this is a big one because I just finished Memories of Ice before I got my hands on this. I was working my way through House of Chains, and I'm also doing Orb, Sceptre, and Throne for my collab with Pete on the 10 Very Big Books podcast, and Jenna Bacchus just has a near and dear spot in our heart. It's got a sweet spot, right? That's where the whole kind of shebang gets kicked off in Gardens of the Moon. And so it has all of those kind of Jenna Backin type of references, characters, and all the kind of political dynamics that we're pretty familiar with. And so, anytime I get to go back to Jenna Bacchus, it's always a good time. And this specifically doesn't disappoint because you get to pick up kind of in the aftermath of everything that we've already seen happen, which is dope. Number five is interesting because even though it's the Karsa Orlong trilogy and we don't get any Karsa Orlong in the first book, at least no POVs or anything like that, we do get Karsa Orlong references, right? And all of the references we get, without spoiling anything, refer to Karsa being Karsa. And so it's got me really pumped, not just for kind of getting to be able to touch back on that stuff right now, but for what's going to come in the next couple of books, because this is obviously all building to a head and some kind of a culmination in book 3, and the hype level has, let's just say he did a great job of laying those foundations. Number 6 is an area that I have absolutely no expertise in, but it's one that's still important to me for my reading, and that's the prose. Erikson has really good prose. There's, I don't know if you want to call them chapter epigraphs, because they're not really poetry the way that some of them are in Book of the Fallen, but just beautiful prose, contemplative kind of inner monologues, and just really well written. Even though it doesn't have the same kind of a length as like a Told Hounds or something like that, he manages to really build in and layer up those very kind of flowing, nice words to read. Number 7 is one that I already mentioned, but the pacing is very fast. You're going from event to event to event. There's not a ton of just all this setup and stuff that happens. I know that that's one of the common criticisms of that the Book of the Fallen books are very long and they take a while to build up before you get to those kind of deep climaxes that usually happen in chapter 19 or whatever. And so it does really feel like he kind of took a play out of the Asselmont book and just, because it's boom, 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 all the way up to that 476th page when that's all said and done. And you're like, oh man, I think I ripped through this book in about 3 days. And that was even mixing in work and kids stuff and camping and all of that. And on that note, number 8 is just the action. There's a lot of epic battle scenes, both in terms of like big battle set pieces. There's like individual battles and just like epic badassery that happens. So both on a kind of individual and a group, military, armies kind of level. The action is basically at an 11. Number 9 are the new characters. There is a bunch of new characters that we've never even met or heard of before or anything like that, whether it's Stillwater, Folibor, and Blanket, who have a really epic dynamic that I like. Annex Fro and Stillwater. There's, the Marine component is epic. The Teblor component, there's a lot of dope characters there too. Officers as well. Again, this is impossible to do without spoiling, but there's just a lot of really cool new characters that are funny, that are badasses, that have epic magery, right? And so I think that in fact, I might have a new all-time favorite character now after reading this book, which again is why I need you to jump in that Discord so we can talk about it. But it's not just the new characters, right? Because number 10 for me is old characters, whether it's Damask or Alade Theros or Spindle, Monkrat, the Imats, which we see show up in this book. There's a lot of dope old characters in there to, I guess, not do fan service, but to really balance out some of those new characters, and just that kind of interaction and stuff is dope. And just, the characters that we see come back have a lot of roots that we either saw or know about, and makes it just really badass, epic, and you're invested pretty much right off the bat from chapter 1. Number 11 is the themes. If you go in for themes, this is rich in all kinds of thematic stuff. I think the one that my friend Philip Chase always talks about from the Book of the Fallen, which is the environment, features really heavily here in The God Is Not Willing, but there's a lot of deep themes. So if you are a Toll the Hounds person, if you're a Midnight Tides person, if you're into, Deadhouse Gates and Reaper's Gale and all that stuff, then I think you're going to love this book for that reason. It's not just the environment, right? There's stuff about like gods, worshipers, being worthy of worship and things like that. The whole kind of reciprocal nature. There's, youth and innocence lost, childhood and friendship and humanity, and empathy and compassion. Those ones are in there too. So if you enjoy those thematic components of the Erikson books and you enjoy the action and you want to see those two things kind of have equal weight given, then I think you're in for a treat, because this one does a really great job of balancing the kind of lasers and fireballs with that deep introspective stuff that kind of characterizes all the stuff that we love about Erikson. And then last but not least, number 12, which all great books have to have, at least from my standpoint, is the humor. Part of this comes from having Marines in there, right? Because they do their kind of typical Marine kind of banter back and forth, but there's also a lot of humor just throughout the whole books, in the interaction across armies and things like that, and the miscommunications, in the kind of playing dumb and the playing it weird. It's just got some of that epic, again, Band of Brothers kind of military, forged in the crucible kind of dark humor that just makes it so much fun. So you get the action, the themes, the characters, the lasers, the fireballs, the laughs. You get it all. This book is absolutely the jam. It was torture getting it early and not being able to talk about it. You've got a week to go. I'll put the links to both the Amazon stuff and to Monroe's where you can get your signed copy. You have time to get it ordered so that it still shows up on day one. And man, I am thirsting for some conversations. Hopefully this whets your appetite and gets you excited too. If you haven't pre-ordered it already, get her done because it's... yeah, I'm thirsting for someone to talk to. So we'll leave it there. Join that Discord. Go support all the other MalazTube channels, which are churning out better content than I could have ever hoped to watch in a million years. And like this video. And until the next one, happy reading.